Welcome everyone. My name is Ryan and this is Vintage Story. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at one of my new favorite mods called Expanded Beekeeping. It is a fork of the original mod, but it's been up-to-dated, at least as of the recording of this video, so it works well. And if you're not a fan of on golden combs, then this mod might be for you because it's got a very vanilla feel to it, but it definitely adds some depth to the beekeeping, and we're going to cover some of the materials you'll need to build these things and of course the mechanics that it adds. So let's dive into Expanded Beekeeping. Great news for all you folks out there who are interested in hosting your own server. If you're overwhelmed by the choices, or maybe you've been burned by some of the bigger hosts out there, I have a recommendation for you. I have partnered with Something Unique Hosting, and they are giving you a 50% discount if you use the code HardwareDespair at checkout for your first purchase. They are extremely reliable, great selection of games, and servers very powerful. I have 2 servers going with them now personally, and I actually reached out for the sponsorship, so I appreciate them agreeing to do this promotion. And if you're looking for your server, look no further than Something Unique Hosting. Okay, so first thing I'll mention is I am in creative mode because this mod definitely makes bees much more aggressive to both you, the player, and to any animals nearby. So keep that in mind. If you have domesticated chickens, rabbits, or even baby goats, they could kill your animals. So keep the bees far away. And with that being said, let's talk about one of the first items in this mod. That is the Hive smoker. So as many of you are probably aware, smoke will make bees more docile. And with this interesting little device, created with some copper plates and sticks, very basic, there's other variants, like other metals you can use, but they're all functionally the same. So that doesn't matter, stick with copper. But I will tell you that from my experience with this mod, this isn't really the best thing. It's going to put out a little bit of smoke when you fill it with some hay there, like I just did. And once you light it up with a torch, you can pick it up. You can even put it in your offhand, and it's going to put out a little bit of smoke. And yeah, any bees that come near you will kind of be deterred by it, but it doesn't last very long, and it's kind of annoying to try and have to juggle it around constantly. To be honest, I don't really use it. I made it once and I don't use it now. I still favor the straw dummies, which these are not provided by the mod. The dummy is just a normal vanilla thing, but it does work. The bees will attack the dummies, so keep those around. Maybe give the smoker a try if you want to get more immersed into it and stuff. But with that said, let's focus on the other most important parts of this mod, and that's exactly what we're looking at right here. All right, we're taking a look at the brood box. Now we're going to go through and see the other recipes here. There's only a handful, but this is the heart of your new beekeeping operation. It's where the queen bee will set up residence, and it is basically the bottom section here. I'm in creative, so I'm just going to delete the top portion. We'll grab these little frames, which we'll talk about here shortly. There goes the bees attacking. Now, of course, you're going to need flowers, just like you do in the vanilla setup, and you can see when we look at this, it tells us the population size, how many flowers are nearby, and if it's brooded. So very similar information to the normal bee scaps, which I will mention, these are still in the game. You can still use these. In fact, it's a good way to start out your initial population. I think you can set these up to like a wild hive, the brood box, if you want to first start it. But yeah, the skep is probably going to be quicker just to whip up and get that initial one, transport it to your base, and then be ready with the brood box and the apiary. Now, with that said, let's look at what we use to make these wonderful items. The brood box, very, very simple. These are intended to be, brought about in the early game. So some boards, after you get your first copper saw, essentially you could start in on this. And we've got a little snippet here that tells us what this is all about, but with some papyrus, cattail, sticks, and boards, boom, you've got the brood box. Now, that's not the only thing you're going to need. We are also going to want to place there it is, the apiary right on top. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, if we look at the recipe for this, it requires nail and strip, a little bit more metal. I think it can be copper, yeah, but you could use copper for this. So again, some boards, copper age, boom, you're good to go. You can start your beekeeping adventure here with the apiary. And the final item that this mod introduces are the frames here, the Hive frame. So let's open up the window for that and check out the recipe real quick. All right, there we go. So it does require some flax twine. You might be able to get that in the wild if you find enough flax just growing. But if you get a little bit of a crop, then boom, you can make some of these frames. Now, minimum, you're going to need at least 2. Ideally, you want 5 of them. So let's talk about why right now. Essentially, you're going to start off looking like this with just empty boxes here. The frames need to be inserted, first of all, in the brood box. It's just a regular frame, but once it takes hold and the population moves in, it's going to turn into the brood comb hive frame. Again, that's where the queen's going to be at. And you leave that alone, basically. You can move it now that it's, once it gets set up with the queen. If you want to move it, you can take it out and that's safe. But essentially, leave that one down there while you're just interested in propagating your honey. And you want 4 more of these things to fill up. I'm just going to slot in one of those already pre-filled ones. There we go. So this is what it looks like when you are set up and ready to go. And again, it'll take time for the brood box to detect the flowers nearby. And depending on how many you have, the growth of the population too can take some time. So set it up right and give it a couple days. You'll see them move in pretty quickly. But now let's talk about harvesting. Once you've got the brood comb set up and they go across and do their little bee magic, you're going to end up with either one of 2 types of frames. You've got the bees wax frame and over here the honeycomb frame. If you pull them out and they look like this, you've pulled them out too early, essentially. You want to take this, pick it up, and put it back in there, and wait till it looks like this beautiful golden color. Yes, you can tell it's just dripping with honey. And to harvest this, we simply grab our knife, crouch, right click, and hold it, and boom, look at that. We got 2 pieces of honeycomb from that. Quite nice. Let's delete just a couple of things here so I can pick it back up. And you can see the obvious thing to do is to grab it now that it's empty, slot it right back in there, and then you take your honey over to a fruit press, or if you don't have one of those, just manually do it right into a bucket. And there you go. Expanded beekeeping forked. Remember, keep the dummies around. They're going to be super helpful. Don't mess with so much the hive smoker. Don't worry about it. You can mess with it if you want to play around, but I definitely recommend this mod. We've seen that it's super simple. The recipes are meant to be, gotten to in the copper age, so check it out. Again, if you're not a big fan of on golden combs, such as myself, I think it's a little bit too overpowered and it's a bit overwhelming, the sheer number of things it adds. This mod is definitely the answer to that. Something simple, very vanilla, and yet also powerful enough to keep you in honey right through the winter. So check it out, everybody, and thanks for tuning in today. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.